testifying against Ramon Boyd.
They developed this relationship pretty quickly.
She thought that she found the man who was going to be able to allow her to be who she is.
But it can also bind too tightly, leading to a whirlwind of chaos.
He would exhibit some maybe controlling or possessive patterns with Destiny.
She didn't want to upset him in any way.
She sees her friend laying down outside of her car, bloody.
And choices that sacrifice everything for loyalty, no matter the cost.
I'm crying. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do.
Friday, January 1st, 2016, Kansas City, Missouri.
You're about a mile or two from the state line. There's a Kansas City, Kansas, and a Kansas City, Missouri, obviously divided by the state line.
I would describe it as a pretty family-oriented place. You can kind of get that small town feel in a big city.
At around 2:45 a.m. on a frigid New Year's morning, 911 dispatch gets a call about a shooting in the Hickman Mills neighborhood. The operator assures the caller that help is on the way.
The uniform officers show up first and determine what they have. There was a deceased male in the parking lot near a vehicle, and a female had been shot and was in bad shape.
Right away, the responding officers checked for any identification to establish who the victims are. The woman was identified as 19-year-old Kiera Ramsey. She had been shot twice and was on the verge of bleeding out.
The victim, he was identified as Cedric Jones. He had gunshot wounds, and he was laying on the ground.
Detectives discovered from his ID that Cedric is 24 years old, and detectives are eager to uncover what happened to Kiera and Cedric.
19-year-old Kiera Ramsey grew up in the area. She had finished high school and was working at a call center in Kansas City.
She loved to go out and shop, get her nails done, get her hair done. Like many young people, have fun, enjoy life, make the most of it.
Kiera was in a relationship with a man a few years older, Cedric Jones.
Cedric Jones was charming, charismatic, and had a natural way of drawing people in. And when he met Kiera, he fell fast and hard.
But it wasn't long before Kiera and Cedric's relationship took a turn.
Cedric was known to be controlling and at times abusive.
There was an incident where Cedric allegedly got physical with Kiera and the police were called to their home.
She reached a point where she had enough and broke things off with Cedric.
As New Year's Eve approached, Kiera decided to go out with some friends and she had no plans on inviting her ex.
But now, Kiera is being rushed to the hospital after a late-night shooting that took the life of her ex-boyfriend, Cedric.
All that we had at that time was that there was a deceased male in the parking lot near a vehicle, and that a female had been shot and was in bad shape and had been transported to a nearby hospital.
Investigators have their fingers crossed that Kiera will rally, for her family's sake and for the sake of the investigation, into who did this and why.
Normally there's a uniform officer that goes to the emergency room to update status, and we hadn't had any updates. No news is good news, right? So she was still alive at that point.
CSI techs logged 12 spent cartridge casings littering the frozen pavement. Their type and caliber is eye-opening.
Full metal jacket round, like a .223 round.
Examining Cedric Jones's body reveals more.
He did have a firearm in his clothing. It was a semi-automatic, I think, some type of, maybe a Glock handgun. The gun was fully loaded. There were no shell casings that matched the handgun that Cedric had. And so we knew that someone had been there and, shot him and left.
Whatever the reason, this attack was over almost as quickly as it began.
It tells me that he didn't have a chance to defend himself. That would be my take.
Detectives run the license plate of the vehicle next to Cedric's body.
The plate number comes back registered to the victim, Cedric Jones.
Detectives notice tire tracks in the space next to Cedric's SUV.
It's clear from the fresh condition of the tire tracks that there was a second car involved. But whose car? The killer's?
The unfortunate thing is that, we didn't have a lot of witnesses there.
In search of answers, detectives interview the 911 caller.
When they speak to the caller, they learn that the O'Hara Event Center had been booked for a party that evening.
It was late after the party. Most people were gone. And the one witness we had on the scene was kind of like a manager of the event space and was cleaning up.
The manager tells police that the party had ended around 1:30 a.m. and that the hall was empty by 2.
The parking lot where it occurred was, I would say, maybe 50 yards away. So he couldn't see specific plate numbers, or he just had some general descriptions of the vehicles that he saw. He heard gunshots and saw what he thought was a car maybe driving from the area. That was it.
Police canvass the surrounding area, hoping technology can offer additional clues.
We always want to be aware of video. Where's the video? Are there cameras? We're looking for cameras. Another building nearby turned out to be a church where there was some actual video footage that we were able to get.
The police also discovered a security camera that is focused on the interior of the O'Hara Center.
There's surveillance footage of the actual New Year's Eve party inside the venue.
When detectives view the footage, the puzzle begins to come into view. Could this be the breakthrough they've been searching for?
You see on the video, she's trying to calm him down. Hey, everything will be fine. Let's not do this here.
Homicide detectives in Kansas City, Missouri have spent the first hours of New Year's Day investigating a shooting that killed Cedric Jones and left Kiera Ramsey in critical condition. Their search for answers is now focused on CCTV footage of the party and its aftermath.
Police scrubbed through footage to about 1 a.m. right before the venue closed for the night. They recognized the victims instantly.
We have video footage of Cedric Jones, Kiera Ramsey inside the event hall.
Detectives also see an unidentified second young woman partying alongside Kiera and Cedric.
The quality of the camera footage wasn't high quality enough for the police to identify the second woman in the video.
And at some point, Cedric does show up and is hanging out with them. And he even went into the girls' bathroom with them. And then they leave the venue, and that's all on video.
When police review footage from the exterior of the O'Hara Center, the video is initially a dead end.
Once they left the property of the event hall, the camera angles toward the location of the homicide.
But when detectives reach the 2:45 a.m. mark on the footage, the time that the 911 caller heard gunfire, investigators get a glimpse of the immediate aftermath of the shooting.
In both cases, the surveillance footage and the witness's description, it was a 4-door sedan fleeing the scene.
Police issue a description of the car to news outlets and social media. And just a few hours later, around 10:20 a.m., they receive a call that sends detectives into action.
Someone had called in about a car that was sitting in a lot in a neighborhood on the southeast side of town that had bullet holes in it.
You can see that the shooting had taken place. There was blood also found on this abandoned vehicle.
Detectives quickly run the vehicle's plates, revealing the owner to be a woman named Daisha Wright.
They traced Daisha Wright's address and ran straight to her home.
When detectives arrive at Daisha Wright's home, she informs them that she'd spent New Year's Eve at home, but she'd loaned the car to her youngest daughter, 19-year-old Destiny Wright. Destiny was born into a family that had originally migrated from Philadelphia to the Midwest.
She always smiled as a baby. She came out ready for the camera.
When I was younger, I was just a girly girl.
She can sing, she can crochet, she can sew, she can do anything with her hands. She's very creative.
Her close-knit family worked together to see that Destiny was cared for and loved. But nothing could protect her from the pain of divorce.
He moved out, and it became a competition between dad and I rather than mom and dad raising a child.
Vulnerable and deeply wounded by the split, young Destiny began acting out.
She was hurt, angry, confused. You know, her family was no longer as she knew it. She was fighting on the bus. The teacher would call. She's talking in class. She began to run away. I mean, quite a bit.
By high school, it was clear that Destiny was growing up fast.
You couldn't miss her. She was the only person freshman year who wore stilettos to school.
Destiny showed up for school beautifully, but maybe on the inside there's things that she's dealing with that she may not be talking about.
She turned heads. Like, Destiny was the it girl, basically. But she was still humble. She was still sweet, friendly.
Her head-turning looks earned her plenty of attention.
Sometime in the fall of 2015, she met a young man by the name of Ramon Boyd.
I was 18. I met him at his house. A friend of mine, she was with her dude, and he was entertaining me.
They seemed to click, and the relationship moved so fast that she stayed the first night with him that she met him.
I spent the night at his house, and we exchanged numbers, and we were inseparable.
They developed this relationship pretty quickly.
I moved in with Ramon probably about, I would say, a week and a half after we met. It was pretty fast.
The fact that Ramon was 10 years her senior and had kids from a previous relationship only drew Destiny closer.
She presented to be a very mature young woman. You could see how she may be attracted to someone who's older.
And from the very start, Destiny understood that Ramon's life outside their relationship was his alone.
He was still selling drugs. We didn't get into each other's business like that.
She would say nice things about him, like nothing bad about him, like he was a good person. He was sweet. He took care of her. He was just a nice guy.
He was always trying to find ways to make me laugh, but he was very protective.
When she met Raymond, she thought that she found the man who was going to be able to handle all of who she is.
Daisha Wright tells detectives she got a call from her daughter about her car just moments before they arrived.
My oldest daughter calls me, and she says, "Mommy, your car is out here in front of my house." And she went out, she said, "Mommy, there's bullet holes going all through your car."
Detectives are now aware about who may have been driving the car and asked Daisha for the keys to the vehicle.
So I gave them the key so that they could take it and dust it for evidence or whatever it is that they needed to do.
She tells detectives Destiny was staying with her sister, who lived next door to where the car was found.
About 3 hours later, Destiny's sister called law enforcement to let them know that Destiny has returned to the house.
Upon arrival, investigators assure Destiny that she's not under arrest. They simply want her to accompany them to the local precinct to tell them what she knows about the deadly incident the night before.
They asked Destiny if she would give a statement. So then from there, they transport Destiny in the back of a patrol car, isolated from any family member or anything like that, to the police station.
Without any more leads, detectives hope that Destiny holds the key to unlocking the case.
At first, she's reluctant to speak to the police, but as she begins to open up, it's clear to everyone that there's more to the story than anyone expected.
The homicide have found both a car they believe left the scene of a fatal New Year's Eve shooting and its alleged driver, 19-year-old Destiny Wright.
Destiny's car has been shot up, and that's pretty much all they know. And they know that Kiera has been shot and Cedric's been shot.
They have surveillance footage of Destiny's car fleeing the scene and learned from her mother that Destiny had the car that night.
After learning Destiny's whereabouts, detectives transport her to the station to learn what she knows about the shooting.
Destiny agrees to go to the station and give law enforcement a statement. The officer then asks Destiny, "Can you bring your cell phone with you?" Destiny suggests that she did not need her cell phone. However, law enforcement encouraged her to bring her cell phone.
She was not a suspect. If you're an innocent person and you want to help solve a case, you want to bring your phone and help out. I would say 99% of the time, when you have a phone, if they're in the proximity of a homicide case, those phones are going to have extremely valuable information.
At the station, Destiny is placed in an interrogation room. Now, face to face with detectives.
There were some things that didn't make sense, what happened.
Destiny tells investigators she and Kiera were friends from work.
They've known each other for a while.
Destiny and Kiera decide that they are going to go out and have a girls' night and enjoy themselves.
Destiny tells detectives that they made plans to go to a New Year's Eve party at the O'Hara Center.
We knew that's where everybody was gonna be, so we had to be there.
Destiny begins to give detectives more detail about the events of the night.
Kiera and Destiny are doing your normal stuff on New Year's Eve, dancing, having a good time, up at the DJ booth, that sort of thing.
We're just dancing, vibing, taking pictures and stuff like that.
And then all of a sudden, unbeknown to both of them, Cedric Jones shows up.
Cedric shows up there, likely feeling like he has lost control of this relationship that he has with Kiera.
They had actually broken up, but Cedric had not accepted the fact that the relationship had ended.
When the party was over, everybody is walking towards the doors, and Cedric rushes in, like he rushes us. He was not happy. He grabs Kiera.
The event space video tells the same story.
You see him reach for Kiera, grab her at times. You see an exchange with Destiny, verbal exchange with Destiny and with Cedric.
Me and Kiera, we walk in the bathroom. He follows us in the bathroom.
So far, Destiny's statement seems to match what the detectives have already seen on the surveillance footage.
He held us in the bathroom. He would not let us get out. Worker from the banquet hall actually came to the door and said, "Y'all have to go."
As they head outside, there's an exchange that quickly escalated, and Destiny tells detectives that she saw a gun.
Kansas City, Missouri homicide detectives have been questioning Destiny Wright, their only potential witness to Cedric Jones' murder and Kiera Ramsey's near-fatal shooting in the first hours of 2016.
If you can picture Destiny and Kiera at the New Year's Eve party, she had just recently broken up with her boyfriend Cedric, packed a bag, planning to stay with Destiny after they had this good time at the New Year's Eve party.
Destiny told detectives the two women hadn't counted on Cedric crashing the party.
Cedric arrives to the party attempting to talk to Kiera. In an effort to get her back, he became aggressive and even followed the women into the ladies' room until they were all asked to leave.
Destiny's story seemed to match the surveillance footage obtained from inside the party and outside the venue.
As they're leaving the center, you can see that Destiny is kind of walking with Cedric. She's trying to calm him down. Hey, everything will be fine. Let's not do this here. We just want to, have our good time. It's late. Let's all go home.
There's no surveillance footage of the parking lot, so police asked Destiny what really happened during this time.
When I get to my car, Cedric is parked right next to me. And I get in my driver's side, Kiera gets in my passenger side, and he will not let me close my door because he thought I was going to drive off with her in the car.
They're trying to get in the car, and there's just lots of commotion where the girls are trying to get away.
She kept telling him, "I don't want to go with you." I stuck my key in my ignition. Cedric reaches over me and snatches my key out the ignition. So I got out the car, and I snatched it back out his hand.
Then they all get in the car. So you have Destiny in the driver's seat, you have Kiera in the front passenger seat, and then you have Cedric sitting behind both of them in the rear seat.
And there's a verbal heated exchange in the vehicle between the parties.
He's basically repeating himself over and over. He's pulling things out his pocket, he's pulling out money, he pulled out his phone, then he pulled out a gun. And that's when I got concerned.
Destiny tells police that for the first time that night, she felt genuinely afraid.
He never directly pointed it, but I knew that he was drunk and he was being very careless with it.
Eventually, Kiera's just like, all right, whatever, you know, he's not gonna let us leave. I'm just gonna go with him. At that point, she opens her door to get out of the car. Cedric is getting out as well.
She was just like, okay, whatever, fine, I'll go with you.
And then at that point, somebody comes, multiple rounds, 12, 13 rounds are fired. They hit Kiera. Cedric was shot. And there were multiple bullet holes through the front windshield of the car.
It was so close, like my eardrum popped. Once the gun went off, like my hair went out. So I looked over and I saw Kiera and Cedric drop to the ground. And I left the scene.
She sees her friend laying down outside of her car, bloody, and then she just gets out of there.
I don't believe I was thinking. I was just shocked. And I just knew I had to get out of there.
When detectives asked Destiny who did the shooting, she explains that she was so shocked that she momentarily blacked out.
At that point, I didn't know what to do.
So in my mind, Destiny's in a situation of where there's just been 12 rounds fired. She almost could have died.
Detectives press Destiny about what she does remember after she fled the scene.
I remember swerving when I was driving because, you know, I'm trying to see through this shattered window shield. I'm crying.
After the shooting, Destiny left, and then she dropped her car off near where her sister lived. Her car had bloodstains on it, bullet holes on it.
I just left the car there. There were multiple bullet holes through the windshield.
She tells detectives that after she got to her sister's home, she called her boyfriend, Ramon Boyd.
So I just told him to come get me. I was at my sister's house, and Ramon came to get me, and he took me home.
The detectives investigating the shooting are skeptical of Destiny's story, particularly her blackout.
Sometimes when people are in interviews, they'll do things to kind of forget, come up with you know, I was asleep or I blacked out. Those are some excuses people, you know, can say to not have to tell the story.
She is saying that she don't know who was involved. She have no idea in terms of who the shooter may be.
In hopes of corroborating her story, police turn to Destiny's phone and ask her to turn it over. But she tells detectives that her phone had a blackout of its own.
My phone froze. It was so cold outside. I don't know if the battery had a reaction, but I ended up doing a hard reset on the phone to get it to turn back on.
She said she had to reset your phone because it was frozen. I mean, if it was frozen, right, how are you gonna reset if it's not working?
Destiny refuses to surrender her phone, but ultimately, police take it.
Didn't let her leave with it, then got a search warrant for it, and then they got into the contents of the phone.
While forensic techs begin analyzing Destiny's phone, detectives are finally able to sit down with the sole remaining witness.
So Kiera came out of a coma on February the 2nd.
She came on her own and gave an interview about what happened that night.
But after the trauma of being shot, emergency surgery, and an only partial recovery, Kiera's initial recollection doesn't add more pieces to the puzzle.
She was a very calm person and was able to talk about what happened that night. She was just having a conversation with him or listening to Cedric, and then boom, that was it.
But one part of her story contradicts Destiny's in a major way.
Kiera's statement to law enforcement is most interesting because she stated that at no point was she afraid.
Between the two statements from Kiera and Destiny, detectives are left with more questions than answers.
Destiny says Cedric pulled out a gun, but Kiera says she didn't feel threatened at any point. And you'd imagine if he put out a gun, she would have.
February 2016. In the aftermath of a deadly New Year's Eve shooting, homicide detectives in Kansas City, Missouri are laser focused on 19-year-old Destiny Wright and Destiny's cell phone.
So we kind of had an idea that the phone might have been a hot potato.
Detectives obtained a warrant for her phone and then sent it off for analysis in the hopes that we'll be able to fill in the gaps within her story.
Law enforcement obtained the cell phone records, and they noticed that during the time of the incident that Destiny is in the vehicle and she's texting someone repeatedly.
Detectives found it interesting that during her interview, she had not said a thing about texting anyone.
The volley of texts between Destiny and a contact ID'd on her phone as TK lines up with the time Destiny told detectives she was in her car with Kiera Ramsey and Cedric Jones.
She's texting with the number, so we were able to identify TK as Ramon Boyd through that information.
Now, detectives move to examine Ramon Boyd's call and text history. The text thread gives detectives a whole new story of the events leading up to the shooting.
Those text messages literally brought the shooter to the scene. And there are messages that are going back and forth between the two, such as, keep him there. Destiny sends a text, hurry up. Ramon says, I'm getting close. And then Destiny goes on with the text saying, come right now.
We were able to see the texts that show Destiny Wright directing Ramon Boyd in to shoot Cedric and ultimately Kiera.
The texts are saying one thing, but Destiny is sticking to her story. Detectives now believe that Ramon and Destiny conspired in the deadly shooting. So, investigators meticulously assemble evidence to back up their claim.
The cell phone tower was able to place Ramon at the place of the shooting.
On March 3rd, 2016, with enough evidence in hand, police move in to arrest Destiny and Ramon.
They were at Ramon's parents' house.
I heard Destiny Wright, come out with your hands up. And that's what I did.
They were transported to Kansas City, Missouri Police Headquarters and placed in separate interrogation rooms. And both of them declined to speak with detectives about the case.
Prosecutors charge Ramon Boyd with felony murder, first-degree assault, armed criminal action, and leaving the scene of a shooting. Destiny was charged with second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, assault in the first degree, and tampering with evidence.
You might say that the state threw the book at her, but they may have had a reason to scare her into testifying against Ramon Boyd.
I discussed with Destiny, here are our options, but she didn't want to testify against Ramon in this case.
Destiny is taking legal advice from another source.
I didn't even know at the time till later in the case. Destiny was talking with Ramon the whole time that she was in custody through a 3-way call where Ramon would call his mother and then his mother would connect them.
He told me to not take a plea deal. We were going to fight this.
That was kind of a way of where Ramon could kind of put thoughts into Destiny's head, control her, if you will.
The plan was all along was to protect each other. I felt like Ramon would protect me to the very end.
Prosecutors learned that Destiny's relationship with Ramon was anything but balanced. His influence over her ran deep.
From time to time, Ramon would exhibit some maybe controlling or possessive patterns with Destiny.
He didn't like me wearing certain things, doing certain things, and I kind of just went along with it, because I was in love with him.
Prosecutors discover that over time, their relationship escalated, eventually becoming physically violent.
There was one incident where he was physical. It was a heated argument, and he told me to leave. And I was like, I'm not going nowhere. So he ended up, pushing me down some stairs, a small flight of stairs.
I'm not too sure exactly what happened, but she called me, she was upset. And I was like, did he hit you? And she didn't say anything.
It was a little toxic, I would say.
Destiny remained loyal to her man, no matter what.
Investigators learned that Destiny stayed with Ramon, even after the abuse, and he continued to exert some level of control over her, even the night of the New Year's Eve party.
Ramon was texting me, basically telling me not to dance on any guys or don't flirt with any guys.
Now, with Destiny potentially facing decades in prison, Ramon still maintained influence from his jail cell.
Ramon told me that there was no way they could find me guilty of this, which is why I should take it to trial.
And prosecutors discover that days after the shooting, he'd seen to it that they had insurance.
On January 4th, 2016, Destiny Wright and Ramon Boyd were married.
We went to go get the paperwork from the courthouse, and his aunt married us.
I was totally in the dark. So it was very painful. I mean, every mother wants to dress up her daughter in that room and put that veil on her and go through all that. I didn't have that.
Some people believe that this was due to Ramon Boyd and Destiny Wright wanting to have spousal privilege so that anything that they had said to each other wouldn't matter because they wouldn't testify about any of it.
Psychologically, there is this enmeshment that sometimes happens where relationships become very codependent. I am lacking something and you give me that, so I'm gonna hold on to you forever and for as long as I can, and vice versa. And we're gonna stick together no matter what. And we are loyal to a fault. I think there's also a cultural aspect to this too. When we think about Black women, a lot of times in our inner city communities, there's this rhetoric that we have to be ride or dies. That we stick by our man no matter what.
December 2017. Destiny Wright is on the threshold of trial for the murder of Cedric Jones and the near-fatal shooting of Kiera Ramsey.
It didn't seem real. Is this happening? So we always talked about, like, not going to jail, like, just how prison would be, and it's just crazy how she's living what we didn't want to happen.
Destiny's attorney moves to have her initial police interview and the contents of her phone removed from evidence.
She shouldn't have even been interrogated in the first place without the Miranda warnings or being advised of her right to counsel. I also did a motion to suppress the phone because it's what you call a fruit of the poisonous tree. There's discrepancies about how the police went about getting Destiny's cell phone.
But when trial begins, both Destiny's voluntary interview and her texts with Ramon remain crucial aspects of the prosecution's case.
It was intense. The courtroom was full of, friends and family on their side, and I had my mom, my dad, and my pastor there to support me.
The prosecution takes full advantage of Ramon and Destiny's strategizing while they were awaiting trial.
They used those calls to try to portray her in a different light.
I felt like they were trying to paint me out to be a monster. I felt like they were putting this image on me like, oh, we set Cedric up to get killed.
The defense presented a different story as Destiny took the stand and laid out her full story of the night of the shooting.
Presented with all the cell phone evidence, Destiny can't claim that she blacked out, so she describes what happened outside on the night of the incident.
I called Ramon when it started to get heated because Cedric was waving a gun around, and I was scared.
She's concerned. She calls her man and puts it on speakerphone so that he can hear what's happening in the car.
I had the phone in between my thighs, and I let him listen to what was going on. And then we started texting back and forth. I just wanted him out my car.
Destiny testifies that she looks up from her phone to see Ramon Boyd pointing a gun directly at her car.
I didn't see him walk up. He was just in front of my car.
And then she says, a spray of bullets tears through her windshield.
Destiny herself could have been killed.
I think Ramon was aiming for Cedric. Kiera got shot. It was an accident.
I believe that Kiera got caught up in the crossfire. That's still, it's very sad. It's all sad.
Despite her testimony and claims of innocence, on December 15th, 2017, the jury finds Destiny Wright guilty of all charges.
Once they found her guilty, we went into a sentencing hearing. And then Daisha Wright, Destiny's mom, got on the stand, and she was very emotional. And she apologized to the other family.
I spoke to Cedric Jones' mother, who had lost her son, as well as Cedric's girlfriend, who had children by him. So 3 mothers have lost, and I was so sorry that happened. So I did, when I got off the stand, I embraced her and she embraced me back.
The court, however, remains unmoved. Destiny receives the maximum sentence allowed.
When the judge said 32 years consecutive, like my heart dropped to the bottom of my stomach. And I just remember crying and just thinking, like, how did I get here? Like, how did it get to this moment?
At his own trial, Ramon Boyd is also found guilty of all charges. But his combined 27-year sentence is actually the lesser of the two. While Destiny Wright remains in prison, she has, in the years since her conviction, earned another kind of freedom.
Destiny did let me know that she got divorced from Ramon.
He realized that he didn't have that influence over me anymore. He realized he didn't have that control. And I feel like he didn't like that.
She regrets talking to him. She regrets getting married to him. She regrets all of it.
I feel like before I was very codependent on him. He made most of my decisions. He did almost everything for me, you know, and with me being by myself, I'm kind of, you know, forced to grow up.
You gotta have boundaries. If you're not okay with something, you gotta let people know. And if they can't respect your boundaries, that's a sign.
Now Destiny puts her trust in herself and the people that have stood by her.
Actually, I have a letter that Destiny wrote to me, and if you will allow me to read it, I would love to do that. Mother, do you know the one thing I thank God for every day? You. I thank God for my mother, for him to bless me with someone as awesome and as amazing. God made no mistake in making us a pair. I'm so glad that he chose me to be your daughter. You have been all that I need to be and more. Thank you for being you. With all the love of my heart.
Nothing can undo what happened that night. Cedric Jones lost his life and others were forever changed. A senseless tragedy that left multiple families grieving and searching for answers.
I know that there are no words, you know, that can fix the situation, you know, but I never wanted that to happen. Kiera, she was my friend and I cared about her. And my feelings for my ex-husband just, you know, overrode that in that moment. But I am truly deeply sorry.
Ride or die, and till death do us part. They are two sides of the same coin. The loyalty that blooms with love can be unwavering, no matter the storm. But blind devotion can lead down a path of reckless sacrifice, where we risk losing everything. starting with ourselves. November 28th, 2020. It's Saturday night in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, a peaceful suburb on the outskirts of Philadelphia.
The population is approximately 18,000 people.
Lansdale is an area where a lot of people come to build their families. It's where people go to stay away from violence or crime.
But for one neighborhood, this night will be anything but peaceful.
At 10 o'clock that night, a resident was letting his dog out when he heard what sounded like gunshots.
Racing to the front of his home, he spots one car racing away, and another crashed into a pole.
The car looks like it's been in an accident, but with the gunshots, it's the suspicious situation.
He cautiously approaches the vehicle, where he finds the driver slumped over at the wheel.
She looks unresponsive.
Miss.
Getting no response, he immediately calls 911.
He lets the police know what he heard and what he's seen.
Within minutes, first responders are on the scene.
The car is still running. They reach in, turn the car off, and put it in park.
They find a purse. An ID inside identifies the driver as Ebony Pack.
"30-year-old Ebony Pack grew up surrounded by a loving brood of siblings and cousins.
We had a great childhood. We was all raised as like brothers and sisters. We was very close. When we are around each other, that's our happy place.
Though small in stature, Ebony seemed like she stood 6 feet tall.
She had such a big heart. You could always go to Eb. She was always there for you, like no matter what.
She was everybody's shoulder, everybody's crutch. She was so compassionate.
With these gifts, no one was surprised when after high school, Ebony announced her plans to become a nurse.
That was her goal from the jump. She was going to Holy Family for the nursing program.
But in Ebony's freshman year of college, her life took an unexpected turn.
She got pregnant. She had dropped out of college and raised her daughter.
Along the way, she was fortunate to have the support of her baby's father.
Jeff was cool. He was funny. That was good. You know, every relationship is not perfect, but I never saw any negative things happen with them.
As a mother, Ebony was a natural.
She loved Ava so much. It was like second nature to her because she already nurtured everybody around her.
She just took on it with such grace and like finesse. She was a damn good mother.
But before long, heartbreak struck.
Ava's father went to jail for murder.
He was someone that she thought was going to be around for a very long time. She now has to pick up the pieces while raising a young child.
It was a sad situation for her and her daughter.
But with the support of her family, Ebony pulled through.
She came back home. She went back to school. She became a nurse.
She had a lot of strong Black women around her that uplifted her during this time. In spite of all of the difficulties that she faced, she still had that go-getter spirit.
But Ebony's career wasn't the only big change in her life. She was also spending a lot of time with a new friend named Brittany Norman.
She was always in West Philly with Brittany. And we started to see like, this isn't regular friendship. And I said, Ebony, are y'all like together? And she got quiet for a little bit and she started crying and I started crying. And I said, you didn't have to keep that from me. I love you no matter what.
Her acceptance encouraged Ebony to also tell her family.
We were basically raised in church. So I think that added level of that kind of moral compass. So I don't think she necessarily wanted to hide it, but I think she wasn't comfortable outrightly saying it.
But when the relationship was finally out in the open, it was pure joy for Ebony.
Brittany made Ebony happy.
Together, they built a beautiful blended family.
Next thing you know, they're getting married.
It was not too long after they legalized gay marriage.
And they were able to support one another with raising each other's children.
But in early 2020, after 5 happy years together, the couple decided to separate.
It just couldn't work because Eb and Brittany are just totally different people.
But Ebony would have no time to wallow as the COVID pandemic quickly took hold.
She worked on the COVID unit. She thrived at it. She really did.
Even when it couldn't touch them, she made them feel like, I'm still in the room with you, you're still a person, and I still love you, and I'm caring for you. She was the best nurse.
When the COVID confinement finally ended, Ebony couldn't wait to jump back into normal life.
Eb was just a different person, but in like a good way.
Her priority was like being happy and having fun.
And a trip to Miami with her nursing colleagues would change her life forever.
They did a private dinner the first time they got there.
She meets a woman named Katrina Randolph.
So why hasn't anyone introduced us before?
I know, right?
They meet, they talk, they get familiar.
Katrina talks about recently getting out of a 3-year relationship with a man.
They find comfort in one another by sharing each other's stories and being supportive and understanding.
Wait, where you been?
Where have you been?
And by the time they came home, Katrina knew she wanted to be with Ebony.
Katrina was saying to her, oh, you're gonna be my girlfriend. I guess like Ebony was not used to being like the one that's like the girly girl, like somebody seeking after. I think it piqued her interest.
And Katrina certainly knew how to woo Ebony.
I got to see her come home with flowers that cost like $200. And I just saw her excited about being like, getting like the princess treatment.
Once the two became a couple, things moved quickly.
They started dating in July. They was already talking about moving in with each other in October. She seemed very happy.
But now, Ebony's life hangs in the balance.
First responders quickly discovered bullet wounds all over her body, including several shots to the chest.
Charlie 20, go ahead and start me 47 for an unresponsive female with a gunshot wound. Her name is Ebony Pack.
After separating from her wife, Ebony Pack had found love again with a woman named Katrina Randolph.
She was happy.
She was just really living her best life.
Ma'am, are you okay?
But now her life is in jeopardy.
Somebody shot into the vehicle where Ebony was.
There were bullet holes in her body.
While she's raced to the hospital, investigators contact Ebony's family.
Lansdale, the police station, called me, and I'm like, please just tell me if it's bad. And she was like, I can't. I just would say, get to the hospital as soon as you can. So my mom went, and I said, I'll stay here with the kids.
Get to the hospital, they like, she had surgery. The doctors come out here and talk to you in a minute. So my anxiety was more like 100.
Back at the crime scene, detectives have arrived and begun examining evidence.
They note that even though Ebony's vehicle crashed into a pole, there is little damage to it.
That would say it rolled into that position and was not actually driven into that position. There wasn't major impact like somebody was racing or something like that. So that evidence is very important.
There are also 9mm shell casings outside of the vehicle.
The bullets came from outside. They shot into the vehicle.
The police have little to go on. They don't believe this was a random shooting.
This is not in the inner city.
The reputation of the area is very peaceful and very calm.
Which explains why so many neighbors have begun to gather at the scene.
Lansdale is the kind of place where people are going to come out and insert themselves into the investigation. This is a see something, say something kind of neighborhood. It is a community of law and order, and they want to help.
Hey, how you doing?
As does the 911 caller, who's the first witness investigators interview.
The neighbor was outside with their dog when he heard gunshots.
I heard gunshots, so I went to the front of the house, and it was a car that just sped off.
You saw a car? Can you tell us what it looked like?
The man said that he couldn't get a good glimpse of it, but based on the tail light description, it looked like it was a Cadillac.
As investigators make the rounds with other neighbors, this is quickly confirmed.
Another witness confirmed that it was in fact a Cadillac.
It's a lead detectives desperately needed, as their case has just turned into a homicide.
The fact to come out and tell me my daughter was dead. She was shot 13 times. It took the life out of me. Took the life out of me.
My mom called me. I just remember hearing her say, they killed her. And I said, what? And she said they killed her. I screamed because I couldn't help it.
By now, investigators have arrived at the hospital, where they meet with Ebony's grief-stricken mother.
Do you know anyone who would want to do something like this?
No, I don't know no one would want to hurt my daughter.
She just didn't understand, like, how this could happen.
Ebony just didn't bother nobody. She never got into altercations. She would never hurt anybody. She would pray for somebody before she do anything.
You're talking about a 30-year-old nurse who's a mother. This is a person that is not leading the kind of lifestyle that would lend to essentially a drive-by shooting.
Do you know anyone who drives a Cadillac?
No, I don't.
But when detectives ask about Ebony's personal life, her mother mentions something that could be important to the case.
Well, she's going through a difficult divorce.
There were problems, there were issues.
Ebony wanted to file for divorce, but Brittany didn't.
You have an estranged wife, which is always a good place to at least begin.
The mother of murder victim Ebony Pack has just told Lansdale detectives that Ebony was going through a difficult divorce.
She wanted to get out, but I don't think Brittany wanted to end her marriage.
Her mother explains that in the beginning, the two women were deeply in love.
She was happy at first.
Her family, however, wasn't.
Nobody really got down with Brittany. Brittany was always so overbearing because we love Ebony that much and because we felt like Ebony loves her, we tolerate her.
To her mother, it seemed Brittany put too much on Ebony's shoulders.
Ebony, the everything in the relationship, far as financially wise, like both of y'all are grown women. You know, you can't carry the weight of everything all the time.
To the point where Ebony's mother found Brittany abusive.
It was not physically abusive, but probably mentally abusive.
Brittany just wanted to control Ebony. And Ebony couldn't be herself when she was around.
She wouldn't let Ebony go anywhere by herself. She just had to be there.
To her family's relief, Ebony eventually called it quits.
Ebony had decided to break up and to come back home.
She was tired of being a provider. She was, I guess you could say, over Brittany.
The weight has been lifted off of her and she just felt free.
But Ebony's mother says post-separation, a new point of contention arose between them.
Ebony has a new love in her life.
A woman named Katrina Randolph.
And Brittany didn't like that.
She was calling my mom about who is this girl Ebony's with. She's gonna smack them when she see them.
which makes investigators suspect this could be a love triangle gone wrong.
Do you think Brittany would be capable of something like this?
At first I didn't, but after this, I'm not sure. As I talked to the detectives, Brittany became a strong thought.
What about Katrina? Do you know what she thought of Brittany?
I don't know.
But Ebony's mother shares her reservations about Katrina as well.
Her energy was off. She was possessive.
I remember Ebony telling me she's not all the way there. Like Katrina chased somebody with a hammer before. That girl got some anger issues.
Under the circumstances, detectives need to speak with both women.
You have to look at both of them. New love, old love.
Well, we're very sorry for your loss, okay? We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Both Brittany and Katrina are potential suspects in this crime.
Police reach Brittany first, and she agrees to come in for an interview first thing the following morning.
Face to face with detectives, Brittany appears devastated by her ex-wife's death.
I can't believe this happened to someone like Eb.
She knew Ebony's character and she knew that she was a good person.
Yet she doesn't deny there were tensions between them.
Brittany makes it very clear that yes, they had problems. Yes, there were arguments, but it wasn't to the point where she was some bitter, jealous ex. She knew about Katrina. She knew Ebony wanted to move on.
I didn't have no problem with them seeing each other.
But Brittany admits there was one thing Ebony was doing that she wasn't okay with.
Sometimes my daughter would be with her and she'd take her to Katrina's house, so we would argue about that.
She openly admitted that she didn't like that, and they got into arguments about it. But Brittany was adamant that she didn't have anything to do with this murder.
Well, where were you last night then?
I was with friends.
All right. Well, before we let you go, do you know anyone with a Cadillac?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in. If we have any other questions, we will get back to you.
Not long after Brittany leaves the station, Katrina comes in for questioning.
She had already heard from family and friends about Ebony's murder, and she said she was sleepless over it.
And that's when she makes a jaw-dropping revelation.
I think I know who killed her.
Katrina says my ex-boyfriend may have had something to do with this.
Katrina Randolph, the girlfriend of 30-year-old Ebony Pack, has just told Lansdale detectives that she fears her ex-boyfriend may be behind the murder.
And what's your ex's name?
Ling Dan.
Katrina and Ling had a very toxic relationship.
They had dated for 3 years.
She leaned on him for finances.
But when she finally broke things off, he refused to accept it.
He consistently stalked her, showed up to her job, consistently called her.
And discovering she was dating someone else only fanned the flames.
He was not happy about her leaving him, and specifically not happy about her leaving him for another woman.
Which Katrina believes is what triggered his sudden demand for her to return all the money he'd given her.
And how much money are we talking?
Over the years, like 19,000, but I didn't have it all.
She could only give him 10,000.
Not long after, someone broke into her home, and Katrina immediately suspected Ling.
Things that were stolen from her home just so happened to be things that Ling had purchased for her.
Did you report this to the police?
No.
Why not?
She didn't feel like she could because she didn't have any proof that he specifically did it.
Although Katrina admits that wasn't the only reason.
There was a pattern and a history of abuse.
And Katrina says that one night, Ling went too far.
She recalls she's pumping gas in her car one evening.
Ling shows up, gets inside her car where the keys are still in her ignition.
He gets into her purse trying to take money.
Ling, what are you doing? Get.
She gets in the passenger side and confronts him.
Ling, get out my car!
Hell no! Hell no!
To the point that he basically hijacks the car with her in it.
Hell no. I'm taking you, I'm taking this car.
In a panic, she climbs in the back seat and tries to call somebody for help.
Who you calling? Is that Ebony? Better tell your girl to watch her back.
He said he's gonna do something to Ebony if Katrina don't give him his money back.
Eventually, Katrina says Ling gave her a chance to escape.
Ling goes to a store and gets out to go make a purchase. She takes her car back.
Don't move.
Shaken, Katrina knew she had to take action.
She had to take a restraining order out on him.
To detectives, Katrina's theory sounds plausible, but they aren't sure she's telling the whole truth.
She has been described as someone who is controlling. What if she had become angry with Ebony and had harmed her? Could she be using Ling Dan as a scapegoat?
But when pressed, Katrina insists she and Ebony were in a good place.
She makes it very clear that her relationship with Ebony was fine.
And you didn't have any issues with her speaking with her ex-wife?
No. Why would I? I'm the one she wants to be with.
They were in love. They were inseparable.
In fact, she says that she and Ebony were planning to meet the night of the murder.
She said Ebony had called her around 9:30 to let her know she was just 10 minutes from her house. As time passed and Ebony didn't show up, Katrina got worried. She tried to call her and got no response.
But I never ever thought she would be dead.
Before wrapping their interview with Katrina, they ask if Ling drives a Cadillac.
Does he drive a Cadillac?
He doesn't.
And she doesn't know of anyone else who does either.
Detectives know they need to speak with Ling Dan. However, when they try to track him down, it seems he's in the wind.
No one knows where he is.
At the same time, investigators get a potential break in the case.
They are given access to the surveillance records from the toll road that Ebony would have taken to get to Katrina's house that night.
They found a car that followed her through the toll. It was a Cadillac.
Zooming in, investigators discover a Delaware license plate with a dealership name on it.
When they run the plates, they turn out to be fake. But when they contact the dealership, they have better luck.
They were able to confirm that they recently sold a Cadillac of this make and model.
The buyer was a man by the name of Ricky Vance.
Investigators have traced the Cadillac they believe Ebony Pack's killer drove to a man named Ricky Vance.
He becomes a person of interest.
And after running a background check, he definitely seems capable of this kind of crime.
He served state time for carjackings. He's no stranger to violence.
In fact, he had been in prison for 20 years. He had only been out on parole for a few months.
After hauling Ricky in for questioning,
what's this all about?
Detectives waste no time confronting him.
We have evidence. that your car was involved in the murder of a woman named Ebony Pack.
What are you talking about?
We have your car on camera with counterfeit plates.
He immediately confirms that, in fact, the Cadillac is his, but says he'd never put counterfeit plates on it.
He also denies knowing anyone named Ebony.
But that doesn't stop police from digging further for a connection to the crime.
Do you know someone named Ling Dan?
No, ma'am.
What about Katrina Randolph? Does that sound familiar?
Who is that?
And when asked where he was the night of the murder, he claims to have an alibi.
I was in Philly watching a boxing match with friends.
And you had the Cadillac with you in Philadelphia?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you loan it to someone?
No, ma'am.
But the evidence just doesn't support his statements. Several witnesses describe the Cadillac fleeing from the scene.
Ricky's been found lying.
And when investigators look into his alibi, Ricky's caught in yet another lie.
The alibi does not check out.
And the plot only thickens when they receive his phone records.
They quickly find text messages between him and a man named Terrence Marche discussing counterfeit plates.
They also see a series of several calls between Terrence and Ricky on the night Ebony was shot, with a gap of about 3 hours right around the time of the murder.
While the phone records don't prove Ricky was involved, they are enough to get a warrant to search his car.
They find gunshot residue on the passenger seat of the vehicle.
The shots came from the passenger side of the Cadillac and to the driver's side of her vehicle. So we know that at a minimum, 2 people have to be in the Cadillac.
With Ricky stalling, investigators haul in Terrence to see if he'll talk.
Do you know a man named Ricky Vance?
Yeah. He confirms they have been friends for about 10 years.
He also admits that he has helped Ricky with temporary tags for a car before, but denied ever getting him counterfeit plates.
Okay. And where were you Saturday night?
I was actually home alone on Saturday.
Continuing down the rabbit hole, they ask Terrence if he knows Ebony, Katrina, or Ling Dan.
No Ebony. But I know Ling, and Katrina was his old girl.
He is known for a healthy portion of time, Mr. Ling.
He also admits to knowing Katrina via Ling, but didn't have much interaction with her personally.
And Ricky knows both of them as well?
Not that I know of.
But detectives suspect Terrence is lying.
They doubt it's a coincidence that Terrence just so happens to be a link between Ricky and Ling Dan. It seems likely that all 3 had something to do with the murder.
And when detectives pull Terrence's and Ling Dan's phone records, they find their smoking gun.
The cell phone data of these 3 men put them at the same spot at 8 p.m. on the night that Ebony Pack was killed.
And they suspect Ling Dan is the mastermind behind the crime.
The theory was that Ling commissioned this hit on Ebony as revenge on Katrina.
He solicited Terrence to be the gunman, who then brought in Ricky to be the driver.
Police believe after finalizing their plans, Ling Dan left the meeting alone.
Cell phone records show his phone heading across state lines into New Jersey.
Meanwhile, Ricky and Terrence turned off their phones.
It was highly suspect that they turned them off for a 3-hour period, right at the time that the murder was taking place.
With probable cause, investigators issue warrants for all 3 suspects' arrests.
At this point, you got enough evidence for conspiracy.
Then they bring Ebony's family up to speed.
They called me. Detectives always made sure that I was in the loop.
The story was so crazy to me. The whole process of hiring 2 men to kill her was just mind-blowing.
That is a deep-rooted evil man.
When Ricky Vance is apprehended, Ebony's family is overjoyed.
Our family did a cookout to celebrate.
But when investigators try to apprehend Terrence Marche, he's nowhere to be found.
Like Ling, Terrence now appears to be on a run too.
Fleeing basically says to any law enforcement agency, you are guilty.
Investigators in Lansdale, Pennsylvania have arrested Ricky Vance in the murder for hire of Ebony Pack. The 2 other suspects, Ling Dan and Terrence Marche, remain at large.
All we could do is pray that they didn't get away with it.
Through it all, investigators refuse to give up on the case.
Montgomery County detectives, they are pretty awesome. Like, they always call me, be patient. We're getting it done. Stuff is happening. They made it their priority to bring justice for Ebony.
And when they track down Terrence's fiancée, they get crucial information on his whereabouts.
Hello?
She had gotten a call from Terrence a few days before.
He's actually in Honduras with Ling.
They done fled the country.
Since then, his fiancée claims she'd lost touch with Terrence, though she had spoken with Ling.
Mr. Ling communicates with her that day Marche's run off.
But he also tells her that he's made a different decision. He's coming back to the U.S. to face charges.
Whether it was his guilt or his confidence that brought him home, police successfully intercept Ling Dan once he's back on U.S. soil.
He is arrested without incident.
Nearly a year later, Terrence Marche is still missing. Nonetheless, the trial of Ling Dan and Ricky Vance moves forward.
Pretty much my whole family were there every day. We showed up for her. We showed them that she was loved.
Face to face with the family, the defendants show their true colors.
Ricky Vance, because he's a loser. I think he was just following behind that man. But Ling, because he's evil, he thought he would just get away with it. Like, he was smiling the whole time with a stupid little smirk on his face. And it's just like, yuck, that man is disgusting.
The prosecution portrays Ling as the conspiracy's mastermind.
Ling hired Terrence to be the shooter, and Terrence hooked Ling up with Ricky as the driver.
A vengeful ex-lover, Ling was motivated by jealousy and dollar signs.
Katrina moved on with Ebony, and he still wanted Katrina, and he also wanted his money.
According to the prosecution, on the night of the murder, Ling, Ricky, and Terrence met up to finalize their plans.
That killing was as a result of the meeting that took place. There was a forethought, there was a plan, so there's first-degree murder.
Afterwards, Ricky and Terrence turned off their phones and followed Ebony to the scene of the crime.
Police showed evidence from the tow of the car owned by Ricky.
They followed Ebony on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which is also laden with cameras.
And as they followed her through the streets near Katrina's home, they opened fire.
They pulled up beside her and began shooting out the open window of the passenger side of the Cadillac.
She was shot 13 times.
Circumstantial evidence against the men is damning.
All the men were in the same place prior to the murder.
Not to mention Ling had fled to Honduras with Terrence.
But when it's the defense's turn, They place the blame on missing suspect Terrence Marche.
On the stand, Ricky changes his story.
He now comes forward with this theory that Marche took my car. He was acting weird. He was acting funny. He took my vehicle and came back and looked very distraught.
But on cross-examination, the prosecution rebounds with a different theory.
The only person who could essentially tell on both Ling and Vance was Terrence. So they wanted to be able to put all of this on him.
So they convinced him to go to Honduras, and then he's never heard from again.
After getting rid of Terrence, Ling comes back from Honduras. Now he and Ricky Vance can go to trial together and take the position they had absolutely nothing to do with this crime.
But the jury doesn't buy their story, convicting them of first-degree murder and conspiracy.
When they said guilty, it was like a, oh my goodness, like, thank you.
And at the sentencing hearing, when Ebony's mother makes her impact statement, there isn't a dry eye in the courtroom.
I let them know who they took away from us. I let them know that they weren't God, that wasn't their job. That is the worst kind of evil.
The judge makes sure they'll never see the outside of prison walls again.
They're sentenced to life in prison without parole.
But Ebony's family doesn't get the peace they expected.
Still feels like pointless. It still feels like I was robbed.
You can't see Ed. We gotta go to a gravesite and talk to her.
You still have your life. You still get to see your family, even if it's behind bars.
It's just not fair. I don't think I believe in justice anymore.
To this day, Terrence Marche remains missing.
His whereabouts continue to be unknown.
Terrence Marche, go to hell, if you're not already there.
The senseless crime of these three men ruined the lives of many people. But most of all, Ebony's daughter.
It breaks my heart when I see her isolate sometimes because she missed her mom. You know, I try to comfort her the best way I can. But I know sometimes that's not good enough. I know sometimes she just wants her mother arms around her. But I believe she's going to be very well empowered for her future. She has a village, and she has a whole lot of her mother in her.
A mother whose time on earth will never be forgotten.
I want people to know how loving and caring she was, how compassionate and fun she was.
Ebony was the sweetest, kindest person you would know.
I just feel blessed and honored that I got to know her. I take such pride in the fact that she was my sister. Oh, I wish everybody got to feel how it felt to be loved by Ebony. Her life is so important, and I just want people to understand that. Her name will live in our hearts and our lives forever.
She was a bright and beautiful 18-year-old with big dreams.
She always wanted to work at NASA. She was very smart in school.
She was the joy and the light of the family.
But on a cold winter night, that light is suddenly extinguished.
She was lying on the bed, covered in blood.
Was it an intentional act or was it an accident? Can you tell us what happened?
They don't understand who could have done this to her.
The police only have one suspect.
People were saying, this is a bad person.
Yeah, they were like yelling at each other.
For a detective, that's a huge red flag.
But does the suspect have a motive?
This is your fault. There's so many things that are unsaid and unseen in relationships.
I don't care anymore, whatever.
They didn't know anything about him.
Every time!
one day, it just explodes.
Can the investigators pick up the pieces and put together a case against her killer?
I legit was scared. He was acting insane.
Juries are extremely unpredictable.
A lot of people don't get justice at all.
Police! Freeze!
January 16th, 2022. It's early Sunday in Indianapolis, Indiana, the Hoosier State's capital and largest city.
Indianapolis is a great place for you to raise your family.
There's tons of things to do, so it attracts a lot of people.
But the vibrant city shuts down on a bitter winter night.
It gets cold down there for sure.
It's quiet, the streets are typically empty.
At around 1:30 that morning, the wintertime quiet is about to be broken by the wail of sirens.
911 dispatch got 2 phone calls back to back.
Hello? Where's the location of your emergency? I don't know. I don't know.
The caller abruptly hangs up. But soon another call comes in from the same phone.
911, where's the location of your emergency?
911 gets a second call, and this one is even more desperate. This is coming from a woman caller.
I need help. Where are you?
Then that call abruptly ends as well.
However, the dispatcher is able to pinpoint where the calls originated.
GPS data from the cell phone showed that the call was made from an apartment complex on the southeast side of Indianapolis.
It's Binging from East Hannah Avenue. He was crying and screaming before he hung up. Okay. I'm gonna send it out.
Police quickly arrive at the apartment complex and begin searching for the 911 callers.
They didn't know exactly which apartment it was. They happened to notice that there was a door open.
They walk inside the door and they see blood in the living room area. They go further into the apartment and they find a woman.
Ma'am, are you okay?
She's lying on the bed, covered with a blanket.
When they pulled back the blanket that she was covered in, there was a gunshot wound to the arm and to her torso.
I've got a gunshot wound in the EMT.
Police and paramedics attempt to stabilize the young woman, but she's lost a lot of blood.
Can you tell us what happened?
I can't.
Who did this?
She really couldn't tell police too much. All she could say was her name, Daytara.
In some ways, 18-year-old Daytara Johnson was a typical teenager.
She always had a big smile on her face. She just enjoyed life.
She was very social. She always had a lot of friends.
She was just the life of the party. Wherever we was at, she would just bring the energy.
She was going to make her presence be known for sure.
Everyone loved her and everyone enjoyed her presence.
But Daytara was far from typical.
Most kids would be outside in the summertime playing. She'd be in the house reading books.
School was a breeze for her. She was very intelligent.
She made straight A's all 12 years in school. She was very gifted.
Eventually, Daytara focused that intelligence on a specific goal.
She wanted to be a mathematician and a physicist.
She always wanted to work for NASA.
After graduating from high school in 2021, Daytara moved into her own apartment.
She really loved her freedom. She loved her privacy and really just wanted to start that journey on her own and begin college soon.
The gifted student also caught the attention of the opposite sex.
Growing up, she was more of a tomboy. Then as she got older, she loved her long nails and lashes.
Datera's a very beautiful girl. The dudes gravitated towards her.
But she really wasn't interested in a serious relationship because she didn't want anything to interfere with her independence, her education, or her career goals.
But that changed when she met 20-year-old Anthony York.
She met him from her friends.
Datera and Anthony actually met the spring of 2021, and he was immediately smitten.
The attraction was mutual.
He didn't really talk too much, but he was cool.
I'm glad you finally had the nerve to tell me how you feel.
You're so beautiful, it's intimidating.
I definitely saw them liking each other, for sure.
That attraction was there from the beginning. And from there, they just built a relationship and really kicked it off.
With everything going her way, Datera felt like she was on top of the world.
I've got a gunshot wound in the EMT.
But now, her future hangs in the balance as paramedics struggle to keep her alive.
She has 2 gunshot wounds to her body.
She was losing a lot of blood, and the paramedics could see that the situation was critical.
Can you tell us what happened?
The officers ask over and over.
Who did this?
But there's no answer.
They knew that they had to try to get her to the hospital as soon as possible. Datera is pretty much going in and out.
Then she lost consciousness.
She can't tell them anything else.
18-year-old Datera Johnson was enjoying the most exciting time of her life, becoming an adult with an apartment of her own.
Datera was an independent young lady, able to get her first apartment at 18.
I was proud of her when she got her place.
She also had an exciting new relationship.
Friends had introduced her to 20-year-old Anthony York, and they had been dating ever since.
But now Datera's life is hanging by a thread.
Datera was found lying on the bed, bleeding from 2 gunshot wounds.
Datera was still alive, but she was unconscious.
As Datera is transported to the hospital, detectives arrive at the scene to begin their investigation.
One of the first things that the detectives noticed is that there was forced entry into the apartment. The door had been kicked in.
The apartment appears to be in a bit of a disarray, as if there was a struggle. It also appears to be blood in the living room.
And a clue to the weapon used by the shooter.
Yeah, we got a shell casing.
Because the shell casing and the blood were in the living room, the detectives determined that the shooting had taken place there.
What's not clear to detectives is how Datera ended up in the bedroom.
They couldn't determine whether she had crawled into the bedroom or somebody had helped her because she was wrapped in a blanket.
In the bathroom, they find a bloody towel.
A bloody towel indicates that someone did try to stop the bleed.
But was it Datera or the mysterious man who made the first 911 call?
They don't know who this male was that placed this 911 call. They don't know whether it was a boyfriend, whether it was a neighbor. They don't know who this individual is.
Was it the shooter? Was it someone who just heard the gunshots and came in?
If it was the shooter, why did he call 911? And if it wasn't the shooter, why did he flee the scene?
Did he run away in a panic? Did he run after the shooter? Did he have anything to do with this? They didn't know.
In addition to the evidence found at the scene, detectives also take note of what they don't find.
Detectives never found her keys. They never found her cell phone.
Could have been a robbery gone wrong.
Yeah, he didn't mean to shoot her.
After going through the apartment, detectives talk to the manager of the complex.
They start asking that property manager, does she have a car? If she does have a car, where's it usually parked?
The property manager was able to confirm that she does have a vehicle.
She always parks in the same space.
Do you know where that is?
Right over there.
But the space is empty.
That car isn't here anymore.
The shooter probably took it. Do you have surveillance on the complex?
Yes, we do.
There are security cameras directly pointed in the direction of her apartment. So the property manager goes and gets all of that footage and then hands it over to police.
While the manager was retrieving the video and handing it over to police, detectives put out a be on the lookout alert for Daytera's car.
I need a bolo on Datora Johnson's vehicle.
Then they expand their search for clues to the area outside her apartment, including a nearby dumpster.
They couldn't see much in the dumpster, just some garbage bags, nothing out of the ordinary.
But then something catches their eye. A duffel bag.
They said it was on top of everything in the dumpster.
Clearly, this duffel bag had just been dumped.
So detectives investigate further.
Inside the duffel bag, detectives found some men's clothing.
They also find ammunition, and that ammunition looks similar to the spent casing they found in Daytera's apartment.
Detectives take the bag as evidence and begin to canvass the residents of the apartment complex.
So police start interviewing some neighbors, and they start to talk to two women who live near Daytera's apartment.
There were two young women that remember hearing Daytera and a male arguing.
Yeah, they were like yelling at each other.
When was that?
It was around 1:30.
Those two women say that they heard arguing right before two gunshots go off.
Do you know who she was arguing with?
We don't really know her like that. We weren't all up in her business or anything.
But they say the voice did sound familiar.
They've heard that same voice coming from that apartment before.
It sounded like the same man's voice that she would always get into arguments with.
It was probably her boyfriend.
Neighbors of 18-year-old Daytera Johnson have just told detectives that they heard loud voices coming from her apartment moments before Daytera was shot.
Those neighbors say that Daytera and a gentleman was arguing, and after that they heard two bangs.
And this isn't the first argument they've heard in her apartment.
Yeah, they were like yelling at each other.
One particular neighbor told the detective that she used to hear a bunch of arguing and fighting, but the police was never called.
Was that the same voice you heard tonight?
It sounded the same.
And that was her boyfriend?
I think so.
The neighbors didn't know the boyfriend's name, so the next move for detectives was to reach out to Daytera's family for more information.
But before they can conduct interviews with the family,
homicide,
a call from the hospital changes the nature of the investigation.
Daytera is rushed to the hospital. She undergoes surgery. Doctors do everything they can possibly do to save her life. But it's too late. She doesn't survive.
Daytera's family is also contacted and break down at the news.
When I heard the news, I went into shock.
My husband just barely could speak, and he was like, "She gone."
When detectives arrive at her parents' home, they find a family struggling with their grief.
I was asleep. My twin brother, he had ran in my room,
It was like, she gone. I hear a lot of commotion in the front room. My dad, he was in the living room, and police is in there. He was just crying nonstop.
But Daytera's parents are determined to see justice done.
Is it possible we could ask you a few questions to find out who did this?
Of course. Whatever we can do to help.
The first thing they tell detectives is that they can't imagine anyone wanting to hurt Daytera.
She's loved by everybody.
Is it possible that she might be involved in something that is dangerous?
Maybe something she didn't tell you about.
No, we were very close.
Detectives want to know, was Daytera involved in anything, gang activity, drugs?
Due to the forced entry, this possibly could be a drug deal gone bad or even some kind of gang retaliation.
But Daytera's family is adamant that she wasn't mixed up in anything like that.
Is anyone that she had problems with, disagreements with?
Her boyfriend, Anthony York.
They knew that they fought a lot, but she didn't seem scared. It was just more she was annoyed when they fought.
She would just be like, we argue, or we got in an argument. It's just like how you vent to your sister.
When they got in arguments, did it ever turn physical?
Honestly, we don't know.
Daytera didn't mention Anthony a lot.
The family had only encountered Anthony a handful of times.
It was kind of strange. We never knew who he was, what he was about.
I knew a lot of people surrounded by him. Like, I grew up with his mom and his dad. And I met him one time, but didn't personally know him.
And while the impression he made wasn't alarming, it wasn't reassuring either.
The first time we met him, the interaction was kind of weird. He didn't introduce himself. He didn't say that I'm Daytera's boyfriend.
He was just standoffish. He really wouldn't look at us too much.
Hoping to learn more, detectives return to the station and file requests for her social media and phone records.
Social media is such a huge aid in helping an investigation. These days, everybody posts everything on their social media.
While waiting for a response to the requests, detectives review the security camera video from Daytera's apartment complex.
They get an opportunity to look at the surveillance video, and that surveillance video tells a lot.
Yeah, that looks like her car.
Here we go.
They can tell that it's a young black man and he's carrying a duffel bag.
He goes and he dumps the duffel bag in the dumpster.
You see him go back inside the apartment, then come out and get inside the car and pull away.
That's gotta be the shooter.
That could be anybody.
With the darkness, the poor quality of the video, and the fact that the man had on heavy clothes because it was winter, it was almost impossible to identify him.
Could it be Anthony York? There may be an easy way to find out.
Detectives retrieved the duffel bag that had been collected as evidence from the dumpster.
They go through the duffel bag again.
And under closer examination, detectives find something.
The detectives found a bond warrant.
This is huge for the investigation. This is the break they needed.
There it is. Anthony York.
After finding a bail bond warrant bearing the name of Daytera Johnson's boyfriend, Anthony York, detectives are now convinced he's the person responsible for her death.
Here we go.
Video from a security camera showed only one person entering and leaving Daytera's apartment, and only Anthony would have a motive to dispose of a duffel bag full of his clothes.
But is Anthony York capable of murder?
Daytera's family didn't know much about him, So detectives started digging into his background.
And what they find is alarming.
Auto theft, resisting arrest, and criminal recklessness. And not one, but 2 outstanding warrants.
This is a guy that is basically running from the law.
Armed with these outstanding warrants, detectives rush to the address on file for Anthony York.
A man answers the door. He identifies himself as Anthony's brother, Dominic.
He tells the detectives that Anthony isn't there.
Do you know where I can find him?
I don't know. I don't keep track of him.
Dominic states that he didn't have any idea of where he was or when he would return.
Do you know what this is about?
I heard about that girl that got killed. I know he'd been dating her.
Do you know where Anthony was last night?
Nah, man. I don't know anything about it.
Detectives asked Dominic to get in touch with them if he heard from Anthony, but they didn't really have any confidence that he would.
When they return to the station, the detectives start reviewing the social media accounts they've been given access to. But Daytera's online presence is more complex than anticipated.
Daytera had a social media account that basically anyone could see, but she also had a separate account that was only for her close friends. On that account, she would post things about problems in her relationship, like fighting and Anthony's jealousy.
It was kind of like little petty stuff that would turn bigger because of the person he was.
She started coming out and saying they had a toxic relationship. Like they'd be arguing and fighting a lot.
She specifically talked about how she had been on and off in her relationship with Anthony York.
Hey, come over here.
And as detectives dig deeper, they find things that are very disturbing.
Daytera had actually sent this audio clip to a friend stating that Anthony had threatened her with a gun.
I told him to leave because we just couldn't stop fighting and I needed a minute. And that's like when he pulled out a gun and said that he wasn't going anywhere. It was crazy. He calmed down after that, but I legit was like scared for a second. He was acting insane.
And that isn't even the most alarming thing detectives find.
Look at the dates on the posts.
That's weird.
Someone after the shooting had been posting on her social media.
One post said, "I'm in heaven now," and another one promoting a fundraiser to raise money for funeral costs.
Daytera's family is shocked when detectives check to see if they've been posting on Daytera's accounts.
They didn't know anything about this.
Concluding that Anthony is likely behind the posts, detectives' next move is to review the data submitted by Daytera's cell phone provider.
The detectives could see that there were 2 calls made to 911. But there were also phone calls made to another number before those 2 calls were made to 911.
The number belongs to Anthony York's mother.
Within an 8-minute time period, someone had called Anthony's mother several times.
None of the calls were answered.
Detectives wondered if Anthony had panicked after shooting Daytera and then tried to call his mother before he fled the scene.
Before they can put a trace on the phone, detectives get word that Daytera's car has been found.
I was actively on social media posting her car because I'm like, whoever killed her has her car.
Soon afterwards, someone contacted Daytera's mother, and sure enough, detectives go and they find Daytera's car parked about 5 miles away from her apartment.
Check this out.
When detectives search the car, they find a driver's license. But it's not Daytera's.
The name on the driver's license was Dominic York. Somehow, the driver's license of Anthony's brother had ended up in Daytera's car.
Now the detectives don't know who committed this crime.
Did Anthony call his brother for help when he couldn't reach his mother?
Oh, call him. Get him down to the station. Well, that's not gonna happen.
Dominic is already in custody.
They find out that he's actually in jail for unrelated charges.
But for the detectives, it's an opportunity.
Can you believe it?
They say, you know what? Why don't we start to just listen to some of his phone calls that he's making from the jail?
It doesn't take long for the strategy to pay off.
One call in particular was interesting.
Dominic called a woman named Felicia Hurley.
Detectives run a background check on this Felicia Hurley and learn that she actually resides in Phoenix, Arizona.
So why is Dominic calling her?
That's weird.
What do you mean?
In the phone call, Dominic is giving Felicia some advice.
It was obvious that he knew that their conversation was not private.
He was talking in code.
Tell him to lay low. It's hot.
Detectives realized he was sending a message to Anthony.
Listening to jailhouse phone calls between Dominic York and a woman named Felicia Hurley, detectives in Indianapolis believe they have a lead on Dominic's brother, Anthony, the main suspect in the murder of 18-year-old Daytara Johnson.
We thought he was still in the city, that people were just hiding him out. I had no idea he made it all the way to Phoenix.
Detectives then contacted law enforcement in Phoenix, Arizona for them to work together and see if they could locate Anthony.
3 weeks after the murder, investigators fly from Indianapolis to Phoenix.
They have to find Anthony and they have to find Felicia. So they get to Phoenix and they actually pull Felicia over during a traffic stop. So now they have her in custody and they can start asking some questions.
You know Anthony York?
I do, yeah.
She's friends with Anthony through Dominic, and Anthony had actually been staying with her.
But she insists she initially didn't know he was on the run from the law.
She's alleging that she didn't know anything about any outstanding crime, any warrants.
She says that Anthony came to Phoenix to get out of Indianapolis because a big winter storm was coming.
Did he ever tell you why he was really here?
No, but I got a little curious after talking with Dominic, and he told me to tell Anthony to lay low.
So, Felicia went to a court records website.
She found that he had 2 outstanding warrants.
But that's not all.
It's when she saw social media that she knew, wait a minute, this guy's on the run for murder.
What did you do when you found out?
I didn't do anything.
She was too afraid to say anything to Anthony.
She didn't want Anthony to do anything to her.
Did he threaten you?
No, he didn't have to.
Felicia says she just doesn't feel safe with Anthony around.
Let's go.
The detectives pass the information on to local law enforcement, who immediately head to Felicia's apartment.
Police! Freeze!
And on the patio, there's Anthony York.
Hands up. Turn around. Put your hands on the back of your head.
He is arrested without incident.
On February 10th, the investigators sit down with Anthony in a Phoenix interview room.
You know why you were picked up?
I got a couple of old warrants.
And a new one for murder.
Anthony says he's not surprised.
Anthony admits that he was in Daytara's apartment the night of the shooting, but he says he has nothing to do with it.
You want to tell us what happened? I'm gonna tell you, but man, I still can't even believe it myself.
According to Anthony, it was a bad night from the start.
Anthony said that he and Daytara were broken up, that they had decided to go their separate ways.
What was the problem?
a lot of things, man.
Anthony says they've been arguing a lot.
He was pretty convinced that she was seeing another man.
He did not know who that other person was.
Why'd you go over there if you had broken up?
I went over to get my stuff.
He was only there to retrieve some of his items from that apartment.
He did admit to the fact that they had had an argument.
This is your fault, not mine. You're the one always messing around.
I don't care anymore, whatever.
Anthony says he just wanted to get his things.
He stepped outside to go and throw something in the dumpster, some things that he had in her apartment that he no longer needed.
That's when it happened, man.
What happened?
He stated that when he went to the dumpster that someone went into her apartment.
He said he didn't know who it was.
He says an unknown man walked into Daytera's apartment and shot her.
Anthony York has just told Indianapolis detectives that his girlfriend, 18-year-old Daytera Johnson, was killed by a mysterious man who slipped into her apartment.
It was a crazy night.
Anthony told police that him and Daytera were breaking up and that he had gone over to her apartment to get some things that he had left there.
He admits they argued while he was there, but says it wasn't anything serious.
Anthony tells police this was just a breakup. It wasn't the biggest deal, but he went to go grab some of his clothes and put it in his duffel bag.
I decided I didn't need them, so I just threw them in the dumpster.
You threw away a duffel bag?
Yeah, I ain't need it.
He says that while he was out by the dumpster, he heard 2 gunshots.
He says that he heard the shots, turned around, and saw a man running out of Daytera's apartment.
Did you recognize him?
No.
What did he look like?
I don't know.
He says, I don't know, he was wearing a mask.
Alarmed, Anthony rushed back into the apartment.
What happened? What happened?
He went back into that apartment and seen that his girlfriend was shot.
He says he called 911, but he didn't know Daytera's address. So he was trying to figure it out so he can tell dispatch. And that's when Daytera got the phone and asked for help.
But detectives know that 911 wasn't the only number he'd called using her phone.
Phone calls were made to Anthony's mom.
Why did you call your mother before you called 911?
Man, I didn't know what to do.
He said he called his mom because he was in a panic and he didn't know what else to do. And so he called 911 and then he took off.
Why did you leave?
Because I knew y'all would sit here and try to pin this on me.
Why did you take her phone? Daytera's phone.
I just picked it up. I don't know. It was a crazy situation.
He said when he realized he had her phone, he threw the phone out of the window. He said he didn't know where.
The detectives have heard enough.
At that point, they let him know that they have video surveillance and there is no one else that could have been there.
You want to explain that?
I'm done. Give me a lawyer.
Cuff him.
Let's get him out of here.
Get up.
They booked him on murder charges and they extradited him back to Indiana.
After his charge, it made me feel more at peace of the situation. He got what came to him.
With Anthony in custody, police and prosecutors assemble the case that they'll take to trial.
There's a lot of circumstantial evidence in this case.
And the evidence proved that Anthony was lying about what happened.
Nobody was on the videotape in the apartments besides him, so that story was bogus.
For trial, the DA's office put together their own story, one they believed they could prove was true.
Daytera was a young woman. She's living on her own for the first time. She doesn't really know how to get out of this relationship with this guy.
On January 16th, the tension in the relationship boiled over.
The prosecutors suspect that Anthony got upset over something. DeTerra had posted on her social media accusing him of cheating.
You don't put my name out there.
If you're afraid of getting called out, don't do what you did.
Prosecutors believe that DeTerra and Anthony got into this big blowout argument.
At some point, DeTerra locked Anthony out of the apartment.
Get out.
Let me in. Open the door.
But a locked door couldn't stop Anthony.
Anthony forced his way back inside the apartment.
You don't shut me out.
Stay away from me. Anthony.
Whether he meant to shoot her or not, they still don't know. And they actually do believe that at first he tried to help her.
You're okay, you're okay?
There was some panic in him.
Anthony called his mother first because he really did not want to call 911.
But when he couldn't get his mother, he made the call.
He did call 911 and he hung up with them quickly.
Then he started getting rid of evidence that he'd been there.
He decided to grab that duffel bag, dispose of any evidence that may have shown that he was in that apartment.
While he was doing that, DeTerra managed to pick up her phone.
DeTerra was able to make that phone call to 911, and then he came back. He took that phone, he got her keys, and he fled the scene.
Looking ahead to the trial, the prosecutor is confident, and Anthony York isn't.
Anthony knew that if this case went to trial, chances are that he would be convicted of murder. So he takes a plea deal and he pleads guilty to voluntary manslaughter.
Prosecutors know that it's better to offer a plea deal and know that the person is going to receive some time than take your chances with a jury.
Anthony is sentenced to 30 years in prison with an option for his sentence to be modified after he served 17 years.
To DeTerra's friends, the sentence isn't nearly enough.
It makes my skin crawl, honestly. You took someone's life, someone who you were supposed to love.
And it means DeTerra's family will never know the full truth.
We didn't get any explanation on what happened because he signed a plea deal. So we didn't go to trial and he didn't explain.
And they will never forget what they lost on that cold winter night.
DeTerra, I'm still thinking about you every day.
She had a beautiful soul. She loved everybody. She was beautiful, a beautiful person. She was definitely a sweetheart, but she was a big sister at heart. She never let nobody play with us. I always respect that.
I miss my daughter. I wish that these young people would go seek help. Don't put your family in the situation that we're in, because we'll never be the same.